137.
Heavenly way.
People talk to people.
And people understand.
This morning, we want to explore how to think and prosper. How to think and prosper. How to think and prosper. Again and again, we've always said that we have huge resources underground. We have oil, we have gold, diamond, and nations are fighting over territories because of those natural resources. And we believe very strongly that if we control them, we can transform our communities, we can transform our environment, we can transform our nations, we can secure a better tomorrow for our children. But I think the Nigerian experience has shown us the fallacy of that, to the extent that 95% of our daily crude production is considered stolen. And then you look at a place like Britain, there is no mine in Britain, but they have the world's largest reserve of gold. They have the world's largest reserve of diamond. There is no mine in China. In fact, I think it's in Zambia. Lithium is being produced exclusively for China. You see where they store lithium, it's a whole field. It's all going to China. And by the way, if you don't understand what lithium is, every phone you hold in your hands contains lithium. Without lithium, there's no phone. That's the truth. So, clearly, our natural resource, rather than be a blessing to us, has turned into a curse. DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo, is the world's richest landmass as far as natural resource is concerned. It's also one of the most backward. Terribly. So what is the problem? If you go to the Middle East, you're going to find countries like Israel, you're going to find countries like Dubai, you're going to UAE, you're going to find a country like Saudi Arabia. This place, once upon a time, was a desert, completely. But if you went to Dubai now, if you went to Qatar now, if you went to Mecca, you went to Turkey, you went to all these places, it's a paradise on earth. What's the difference? What's the difference? The mindset. The human mindset. The human capital. Israel produces water from ordinary air now. Israel plant crops on air. They don't even need the land to plant these items anymore. And they are better crops than we put on land. So, the greatest resource that we have is between our ears. It's called brain. Each of us has one. The problem is we are not using it. We are not using our brains. It is this brain that gives us the ability to even begin to think. Everything that has been done, achieved with these natural resources, arose from a thought. Somebody looked and began to think. And from these thoughts, things emerged. Therefore, this is not the first time somebody is talking about thinking, by the way. And he mentioned aptly Napoleon Hill. Think and Grow Rich. I read that book when I was 15. And I almost didn't go to school again. Not because I understood it, because I misunderstood it. So I started thinking. Think and Grow Rich. She means we'll be thinking. And I kept on thinking. I didn't see any money. No, seriously. It was then I learned to think. But I didn't know that it is thought backed up with action. Yet I read the book again and again, but I didn't understand it fully. You know. Think and Grow Rich. So all I have to do is just think, isn't it? I started thinking, but I didn't see the money. Imagine the money. I didn't see the money. So, this morning, how do we then begin to think and then also begin to prosper thereby? That's what we are looking at this morning. Think, how to think and prosper. Tell somebody next to you, time to think. The time has come for us to think. Like Ogunde said, Yoruba shaking you. Yoruba Ronu. It's not just Yoruba Ronu. It's every person Ronu. Begin to think. It's time to think. Some fail because they think without acting. Others fail because they act without thinking. I wish that man had written and said, think, act, and grow rich. Maybe it would have been a little easier for some minds to understand. Because I didn't understand it for a long, long time. So many fail because they think, yes, but they don't act out their thoughts. And many just even begin to act without thinking. So what should we do? Let us begin to think like men of action. And let us also begin to act like men of thought. Let's begin to think like men of action. And let's also begin to act like men of thought. Because as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. We are our dominant thoughts. So many thoughts cross our mind. But the one that dominates is what we become. Many of us, the dominant thoughts are thoughts of revenge, thoughts of hate, thoughts of bile. Such people end up with debilitating diseases, incurable diseases. That's why I'm not preaching this morning. If this is the case, what should I do? I should begin to think on good things. I need love, so I think on love. Whatever I think on, I also begin to act it. Because some fail because they think and don't act, and some fail because they act and they don't think. If you can change your thinking, your life will change. That's Brian Tracy. If you can change your thinking, your life will change. So if you want to change your life, it starts first from changing your thoughts. Your thoughts will change your mindset. I'm going to hurry a bit because I want at the end of this to also be interactive. Hold your questions, we'll take them at the end. But thinking is trouble. Thinking is trouble. Most don't want to think. Why? Because thinking is the hardest job. Somebody just be talking and say, whoa, I won't kill myself. And whatever you want to do. Because they don't have the capacity to think through. Because the mere effort of thinking gives them headache. You know, students eat a lot. Yes. Students, yes. They eat. Yes. They eat a lot. Yes, no. It's not physical exercise. Yes, because of the brain. The brain is burning energy. Yes. It's burning energy. Burning food. When we're in school, that's why I have to carry provision. Yes. You have eaten, you are still hungry. There's some assignment they will give you. If you are not eating, you can't do it. So it demands a lot of work to think. However, you must learn the art of listening. Listening is an art. Many listen to respond. They don't listen to understand. Yes, they just want to reply you. As you are talking, they already have a response. They've not processed what you are even saying. We must, before we must think, we must first of all perfect as much as we can the art of listening from the other person's point of view. Without thought, there is not, i.e., nothing. Where there is no thinking, there is nothing. That's not the truth. And that's the problem we are having. People are not thinking. We are not thinking. I'm a traditionalist, so I'm allowed to marry many wives, and I begin to pull wives into the house, pulling trouble. You have not been able to manage one wife. You can't even feed yourself correctly. If I see your wife that's even feeding you, there's one I just saw on the net this morning. He took the money the fiancé was sending to him to go and marry another woman. The fiancé saw it and that one committed suicide. You want to commit suicide? You know, you can't afford it. You can't even afford to marry your fiancé. Your fiancé is even the one providing the resources. You still run out. I just wonder how he's going to feel for the rest of his life. And I wonder how that woman that he married will be comfortable in that kind of house. Sorry? Eventually she will. Because it's blood money. I wonder how they want to find peace in such a home. We don't think. Thought is the creative power to transform your life, transform your mind, transform your thought. To transform your wallet, you must transform your spirit. Robert Kiyosaki. Of course, the Bible also says, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in health, even as what? Your soul prospered. That before you begin to prosper, your soul must also first of all prosper. By the end of today, you will have a reason to start thinking. Many don't think because they have not even found a reason to think. They say that thinking is what brings BP. Is it true?
No.
If he's thinking, God will have had BP in heaven. It's that thinking does not bring. Yes. But there are different types of thinking. There are all types of thinking. Number one, critical thinking. Number two, teleological thinking. Number three, rational thinking. 4, strategic thinking. Of course, there's also irrational thinking. Then there's what we call the devil's advocate. There's automatic thinking. There is positive thinking, meditative thinking, thinking big, and then free thinking, then thinking outside the box, then gratitude thinking, abundance thinking, common sense thinking, and then Oga Patapata. What's the Oga Patapata?
Teacher.
Let's clap for our teachers. So as you can see, when I said teaching is the greatest profession, I was not just hyping you. It is what we know and we believe it. Not only do we believe it, we want to start living it. Okay? So let's quickly run through them, and at the end we'll probably discuss what is critical thinking. Critical thinking is the intellectually disciplined process of actively and skillfully conceptualizing, analyzing, synthesizing, and or evaluating information gathered from or generated by observation, experience, reflection, reasoning, or communication as a guide to belief and action. So much grammar. Hello? We didn't just say them. Every word there is meant to be there. That's why it is there. If you can think, that is. Don't be confused. Begin to think. Every word we are using, they stand for something. And by the way, critical thinking is a book on its own. That's the truth. It's a subject that people are still studying. So we are not going to run through it in 2 or 3 minutes. There's no way we can do justice to it. But everything we are doing today is just to open our sight, our insight to the array of thought processes that are available for us that we may not yet be using, that we may prosper thereby. It means making sound judgments that are logical and well thought out. You don't simply accept all arguments and conclusions, but rather have an attitude involving questioning such arguments and conclusions. For God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of what?
Sound mind.
Sound mind. Of love, of power, and of a sound mind. I think after our salvation, the greatest gift God gives to us is the gift of a sound mind. Because the greatest illness is not a physical deformity, it's a deformity of the mind. Please, you can just show this around while I'm talking. I may not have time to go through all this. But just go look at it and draw your own conclusions. You can see that. Draw your own conclusions. Just take it around for them to look at so that they can read it. What is written there, they need to actually see it. Critical thinking helps people better understand themselves, to understand their own motivations and their goals. You can change your situation and promote personal growth and prosperity and overall happiness through critical thinking. If you think critically, you will blame people less. That's the truth. Because the power to change your life is in your hands. There are skills that are required for critical thinking, which some of them we observed in our definition. Number one is observation. Many have eyes. They look, but they cannot see. Because they are seeing the world from their own personal lens. Analysis. You must be able to analyze without being paralyzed by the analysis. Inference. Interpret what you are analyzing. Many see data, they can't interpret it. It's their problem. They give you a financial statement, you can't analyze it. You can't interpret it. Then communication. Without communication, there's nothing. All civilization is built on communication. Problem solving. Many only see problems. They don't even know what the solution is. Even when you give them the solution, they will see another problem inside the solution. Problem solving. You must become a problem solver. That must be your mindset. Then what we call metacognitive skills. Inductive reasoning skills. Creativity skills. Decision-making skills. And conceptual skills. So when we are through, we can come back to this. There are 6 stages of critical thinking. 6 stages. Starting from the unreflective thinker, through the challenge thinker, to the master thinker. All these are stages of critical thinking. Unreflective thinker. They don't reflect about thinking. They have prejudiced opinions and decisions. They are not skilled to dissect their thought processes. They have no standards of accuracy, relevance, precision, and logic. Even university graduates, we find them in this mix, in this group. Unreflective thinker. Then there's what we call the next level of higher level is the challenged thinker. This one even tries a little. Is conscious of the importance of thinking. And he knows the problem common with thinking deficiencies. He knows them. He knows their mental processes have flaws, but may be unable to address those flaws. So he knows his limitation as to how he can process a thought. He's unable to address it. They know that their thinking have blind spots, but they take steps to address them, but are limited in capacity. Hello? Then the next stage is the beginning thinker. This one begins to think now as he evolves through the process. He values reason and is thoughtfully self-aware. He develops higher internal standards of clarity, accuracy, and logic. Then becoming more reasonable. You can talk to this person and begin to see behind, what you are saying. Ability to take criticism of their mental approach. When you criticize, okay, I've heard you, and he begins to try to, grow on that. But he might lack clear solutions to issues they spot. So at that point, they need a mentor. They need help. But these ones are struggling with that process. They have left the unreflective stage. They have left the beginning stage. Now they are beginning to think. So with a good mentor, they can rise quickly. Then the practicing thinker. The practicing thinker. He's skilled to appreciate and deal with their deficiencies, practice better thinking, analyze mental processes regularly, regularly, prone to egocentric and self-deceptive reasoning. This is his weakness. Tends to justify himself, even though he's trying to find some logic. He has strong habits, so he's developing his character. These ones are usually, let me not go outside of here for now. But he's fair-minded, but not fully able to address all the influences that affect their mentality. And then number 5, the advanced thinker. The advanced thinker accepts self-critique to systematically improve. He has intellectual insight. He has intellectual integrity. He has intellectual empathy. He has intellectual courage to confront ideas and beliefs they don't necessarily believe in and have negative emotions about. I.e., he recognizes your right to a different belief system without becoming antagonistic to you. When you are at that level, you are able to live with people of different opinions.